Hello friends and welcome back to our channel Astrologia, where we share the divine knowledge of Vedic Jyotish. I Manjushri welcome you all to our channel Astrologia. Friends, today we shall discuss another very important and interesting topic of Jyotish. That is the speed and retrogression of planets. The speed of planets is also called Gati, and the retrograde planet is called Vakri Grah. Friends, this video is going to be very informative, so please watch till the end. So friends, let's begin. Your birth is not by chance. Your happiness, fun, enjoyment, luck, troubles, hardships, family association, that is, the family you are born in, is not by chance. It was actually your soul's plan, your soul's journey, which was planned. So friends, first let us understand the speed of planets. Speed of planet, that is the Gati of planets in Jyotish. We all know that each and every star, all the planets, nakshatras, etc. are in constant motion in the universe. Each of them is moving at a different speed. Some planets are moving faster while some planets are moving slow. Every planet that is in motion will impart its qualities during its dasha or transit, which is the primary role of the planets in order to give results. The fast moving planets like Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars will transit faster through one sign to another in comparison to the slow moving planets like Jupiter and Saturn. Talking about the moon takes about 2.5 days to travel from one sign to another, therefore completing one orbit of the zodiac in approximately 29 days or 1 month. The moon crosses one nakshatra per day. Every 2 hours, the moon transits 1 degree in the ecliptic. The moon represents our mind. Moon, being the fastest moving planet of the zodiac, displays the changing state of our mind. Now talking about the sun takes about 30 days to cross one sign. It moves about 1 degree per day. Therefore, it takes about 1 year to complete one circle of the zodiac. One important thing to be noted is that both the luminaries are always in forward motion and they never retrograde. Coming to retrogression. When a planet starts moving opposite to its normal motion, opposite to its normal behavior, going in the reverse direction, a retrograde planet in the birth chart implies that the native has forgotten something in the past life or has left something unfinished, some unfinished karma in the past life, which has to be finished in this lifetime. A retrograde motion is an apparent change in the movement of the planet through the sky. It is actually not real, which means that the planet does not physically start moving backwards in its orbit. It just appears to be so because of the relative positions of the planet and the earth and how they are moving around the sun. However, periodically the motion changes and they move east to west through the stars. Friends, both the luminaries, that is the sun and the moon, are always direct. They never retrograde. When planets are in direct motion, the planet follows the luminaries, that is the sun and the moon. while retrograde planets follow Rahu and Ketu, which are always in retrograde motion. All planets tend to move in clockwise direction in the horoscope, but during the retrogression, they appear to move in the reverse direction for a certain period of time and then continue to move in the usual clockwise direction. The planet moves with respect to the Earth and becomes stationary for a certain period of time. The stationary position of any planet will occur just prior and after the planet gets into a retrograde or in a direct motion. During retrogression, Mercury and Venus will be between the Earth and the Sun. The Sun will be in the opposite sign from Mars, Jupiter and Saturn before it retrogrades. When you see any planet in the 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th house from the Sun in your chart, those planets will be in retrograde motion. Rahu and Ketu are in retrograde motion most of the days, but there are certain days when they get direct. But it's very hard to find such a birth chart with Rahu and Ketu direct. Friends, many astrologers are of the view that the faster moving planets like Mercury, Venus and Mars in retrogression will influence the house which is previous to them, which means they will give the results of the previous house. For example, if any of these planets are in the 12th house in retrogression, then they will influence the 11th house in the chart. The slow moving planets such as Jupiter and Saturn will influence the house in which they are placed in. This is not to be taken blindly, but we can research on it further. Planets such as Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus and Saturn go into retrograde state from time to time. Now let us understand the retrograde motion of each planet. Whenever a planet retrogrades, its speed will first slow down, then it becomes stationary for some time and then appears as if it is moving in the opposite direction as we see it from the Earth. Coming to Mercury retrograde. Mercury has a peculiar speed. It has a quick pace, then it slows down, becomes stationary and then it retrogrades. It remains stationary for one day before it retrogrades or goes direct. The speed of Mercury is constantly changing. It stays in one sign for about less than a month. It travels about 1 degree in 1 day and crosses one sign in about 25 days. During the duration of 1 year, Mercury gets closer to the Sun 6 times a year. One peculiarity about Mercury is that it behaves like a planet with which it is conjunct with. Thus, it behaves differently at different times. Mercury is the planet of thinking, speech, intelligence, intellect, and logic. Whenever it is in the retrograde motion in the birth chart, this would show that either a person will be very talkative or he would not talk at all. Also, the thought process of such a person would be different from others. Mercury lords over 2 signs, namely Gemini and Virgo. The disposition of Mercury in the birth chart plays a very vital role in the life of the native. The relationship one has with a sibling, one's education, etc. would be impacted by the retrograde planet. One is also likely to have throat problems if retrograde Mercury is there in the birth chart. Mercury retrogrades thrice a year. Now coming to Mars retrograde. Mars is a planet of courage and valor and retrogrades once in every 2 years. It remains stationary for 3 to 4 days before and after the retrogression. It remains in one sign for approximately 57 days. Mars, being a medium speed planet, takes about 2 months to cross from one sign to another sign. By now we all know that Mars is the planet possessing male energy, rules over 2 signs in the zodiac, that is Aries and Scorpio. When Mars retrogrades in the birth chart, it tends to impart its qualities through the houses in which it is posited. Retrograde Mars in the natal chart can show power issues and how to deal with conflict, aggression and anger, etc. Next, moving on to Venus retrograde. Venus travels 1 degree a day and takes about 11 months to orbit around the zodiac. Venus, like Mars, retrogrades only once in every 2 years. Venus retrogrades for about 40 to 42 days. It becomes stationary for 2 days before and after it retrogrades. Venus and Mercury are always close to the Sun, hence they tend to become combust at times. Venus is the Karaka for marriage, and when it is retrograde in the chart, one may have an unconventional view about relationships and marriage. One may not be able to express his feelings and tends to choose unusual alliances. Venus rules over 2 signs, that is Taurus and Libra, and affects its significance while in retrograde motion. Native may not have stability in his or her life, or there can be relationship problems in life as well. Friends, now moving on to slower moving planets. First, let us get to know about Jupiter retrograde. Jupiter is one of the slow moving planets of the solar system. Jupiter takes about 1 year to travel through one sign in 1 year, which means Jupiter stays in one sign for 1 year and retrogrades in that particular sign in which it is sitting. Sometimes Jupiter also changes its sign when in retrograde motion, depending upon the degrees it has crossed in the zodiac. Whenever Jupiter goes retrograde, it retrogrades for about 4 months. Jupiter also, like other planets, first slows down, stations and then moves backward. That is how it appears to us from the Earth. And whenever it goes direct, again it will slow down in backward motion and become stationary for some time before it starts moving forward. Jupiter remains stationary for about 5 days before and after the retrogression. Jupiter is the guru or the teacher. Person with a retrograde Jupiter usually doesn't know to stop giving advices. The native would be very knowledgeable, yet he may not know how to use his knowledge in the right way. There is also a possibility that the native may doubt his or her own wisdom. On the positive level, they can look at issues with very different point of view from others. They will also give advice that is unconventional and different from others. Friends, as Jupiter is also the Karaka for children, it can show children who are uncommon in personality. If Jupiter happens to be stationary in a birth chart, then one must respect his elders and teachers. Jupiter rules over Sagittarius and Pisces, and when it is in retrograde motion in the birth chart, one may have to struggle in attaining wealth, and there could be many challenges in education as well. Coming to Saturn retrograde. Saturn is the big one. It is the Karma Karaka in Jyotish. Saturn stays for 2.5 years in one sign. During this period, it will restructure your life and make you pay back for your karmas. Saturn being the slowest moving planet of the solar system, it travels about 2 minutes a day and takes about 2.5 years to travel from one sign to another, and it stays in one nakshatra for 1 year. Saturn takes the most time to complete its orbit, that is, it takes about 29 years to complete one cycle of the zodiac. Saturn's impact or influence can be felt the most as it is the most slow moving planet of the solar system. It retrogrades once a year, remaining stationary for 5 days before and after the retrogression. When Saturn is in retrograde motion, it usually makes a person either a workaholic or an idler. An idler is someone who doesn't like to work at all. In Vedic Jyotish, Saturn is also the Karaka for misery. It is important that one does not get into a negative attitude or a depressive mood. Saturn is portrayed as a poor man, usually hungry for food, materialistic goods, good things in life. Saturn retrograde can make one hungry with desires, wanting for more and more. The greed for more may never get satiated, even though one has enough. Saturn rules over 2 signs in the zodiac, namely Capricorn and Aquarius. Whenever Saturn retrogrades in a birth chart, it implies one needs to be cautious about that particular significance, depending upon the placement of Saturn in the birth chart. Finally, coming to Rahu and Ketu. Rahu and Ketu are always retrograde. Rahu and Ketu travel in one sign for 18 months. Rahu and Ketu are the cause for eclipses in the sign of the transit. So friends, today we learnt about speed and retrogression of planets in astrology. In our forthcoming videos, we will discuss another interesting topic of astrology. Friends, if you like this video, please hit the like button and do share your comments. Friends, if you want us to make a video on a particular topic of astrology, you may mention it in the comment section. Do subscribe to our channel for updates and press the bell icon to be the first to see our videos as soon as they are posted. This is Manjushri signing off. Thank you for watching.